All right, yogis, welcome to part 2 of The Warrior in the Stars, exploring your inner warrior archetype through your astrological natal chart, what I like to think of as your inner compass or your treasure map in this lifetime. So in our previous videos and in this playlist series, we're exploring how to tap into our inner warrior to reclaim, to empower and inspire ourselves in the times that we find ourselves in. I will put a link to the playlist and to previous videos where you can explore your inner warrior through movement. We did that through Hatha Yoga and Primal Movement videos. I will have future videos on restoratives that can help calm and soothe your inner warrior if you've been out in battle. And that could be mentally, physically, emotionally, and so on. And now we have moved from movement into the energetics, right? The astrology and where the warrior within you shows up and where it's most powerful in your natal chart. In this video, I will tap into Aries, and I will also touch on the core signatures of where to find the inner warrior in your chart. So we'll first do that. We'll tap into Aries. And when I tap into Aries around the chart in the fields of expression, or what is known as the houses, I'm going to just do a little brief bullet point and then say the medicine for how you can use that on the mat in your practice as well as off the mat. And if you have any questions, you can always message me, and let's begin. So, in evolutionary astrology, the warrior archetype is fundamentally represented by a triad of symbols that share the same essential quality: the planet Mars, the sign Aries, and the first house. Now, while every individual has this warrior archetype somewhere in their chart, its expression is uniquely defined by the following placements. Number 1, the core signature is Mars. So the planet Mars is the primary psychological function of the inner warrior. Its function represents your will, the drive, and the ability to act decisively to meet your soul's desires. It is also your relationship to anger and the primary engine of libido, representing raw physical desire, stamina, and how one pursues what they want. Mars is also represented like a knife. It cuts. So transiting Mars can cut things out of your life. It can cut out jobs. I've actually experienced that. It can cut out relationships. I've also experienced that, right? So when you feel stuck, if you have a Mars transiting a house or a certain aspect in your chart, it can cut something out of your life for the highest good if you haven't moved. And you can also think, again, when you think of the warrior, widen the scope of your inner gaze, right? So as an example, with cutting, a surgeon is a warrior in and of itself. Think of a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. That's you have to have immense courage and precision to penetrate the skin and cut to, in its highest form, save a human life, right? That's an example of a warrior, maybe representing the 6th house, right? If you have Mars in the 6th. All right, so the placement of Mars and the sign and house it's in describes your specific style of warrior. I just gave you an example, the surgeon. Another example might be Mars in Cancer or the 4th house. It's the mama bear. It's like the mom lifting the car off the child. And in Capricorn, Mars there would be like the CEO, being disciplined and strategic in pursuing career dynamics or legacy. Number 2, in regards to the core aspects of the warrior in the chart, is the archetypal landscape. So Aries and the house it represents would be the 1st house. It's the arena, that's the 1st house, and Aries is the how of your warrior energy. So Aries indicates where you are naturally bold, pioneering, and unafraid to confront conflict head on. Aries rules the head, the ram. The house often correlates with your self-identity, right? Your rising, and how you instinctively assert yourself in the world. So let's summarize that really quickly before we dive into Aries. Mars, the planet, how you fight, what fuels your drive. Aries, where you need to be courageous and independent. We're about to get into it. And the first house, your instinctive frontline approach to life. Okay. Let's go deeper into Aries. So again, if you have your chart and you're looking at it and you're not sure where your Aries is, you can look for the ram symbol. It's that pointer with what looks like the two horns, where that is where Aries is in your chart. And you can look at the cusp of the house, which is, if we're going counterclockwise around the chart, it's at the beginning of the little pie wedge, right? Depending on what number it's on. That wedge is where Aries represents your chart. And I will get into each field of expression and I'll call it out by the number. Okay. So before we do that, before we get into the chart, let's talk about what Aries is. So Aries comes out of Pisces, right? The unconscious nothingness, the oneness, and then boom, there is birth. 0 degrees of Aries in the chart is the genesis point, the birth point. Aries is cardinal fire. It is initiating, pioneering, and creating new things. It's about starting. Might not finish things, but it does start them, right? So Aries, in my mind, is like the race car driver. It's just fierce and fast, instinctual. There is no rear view mirror on that thing. It's only going forward, right? Aries experiences itself through doing. It's like it throws things on the wall just to see the response that it gets. That's how it learns about itself. It thinks, it acts before it thinks. Yep. And Aries is, it's so instinctual. It's primal, so primal. So it doesn't wait to read a map. It just goes, oh, there's a mountain. I'm going to go climb it, right? It doesn't look at the map to see obstacles or what's in the way. It just goes and does, right? It'll learn on the way. If it sees a puddle, it just jumps in there. It learns, again, through doing. Sometimes it trips. That's okay. It's going to get up and do it anyway, right? It just keeps going. It doesn't stay down. It is fearless. And it's inner fire. Think of Aries like the flame of a campfire. It's hot, it's bright, it's a little wild. And its job is to give you courage to do things maybe that no one's ever done before, right? It's the brave warrior. Aries is like the knight who isn't really necessarily fighting a bad guy. It's just fighting fear itself. It's like Evel Knievel, right? That's, Google it if you don't know who he is. But he was a death-defying stuntman, right? And if you know someone who is athletic or maybe someone who is a soldier, it's just that fearless thing where you're like, I can't believe they did that, where they skied down that mountain at 100 miles an hour, or they went off into a dark, distant land to fight for whatever, you know, things that we might be scared of. Aries is there to show you to be fearless. Scared, but doing it anyway. That's the medicine for Aries. So Aries is the athlete, it's the soldier, it is the guardian at the gate, it's the protector of the realm in the light, right? In the shadow, it's narcissistic. Again, the mantra for Aries is I am. And I am can turn narcissistic in the shadow side when it only thinks for itself. Aries learns, again, through doing and the reaction that it gets by what it throws out. And it learns over time. It's like a fine wine. It can be better as it gets older, learning through the experiences that it has. Let's start with the chart. And as I go around, I'm going to give you kind of the little taste of the house that it's in, just to keep this video short. I'm going to give you the medicine that you can apply where your Aries is in your chart, on the mat in your practice and off the mat. Let's begin. All right. So Aries, the warrior in the first house, that's pure energy. That's pure Aries energy. That is the first house. It represents the first house. So if you're what is known as an Aries rising, you're in the purest form, right? The whole chart is pure because that's the initial original chart of original, you know what I mean? Okay. The first house is known as the sovereign leader. The vibe, the warrior is the identity. Remember, the first house is I am. So I am a warrior. Maybe you're an Olympian, right? Or maybe you're, again, on the battlefield, or maybe you're a stuntman. But whatever it is, there's this fearless quality that's about initiating, birthing, and penetrating, right? Like a race car driver going into the horizon, You lead by doing. This can be very athletic here, the need to sweat and the need to move. Now, on the mat, you are the one setting the pace, and your medicine is physical autonomy. You move because your body needs to move, it needs to sweat. So, things like kickboxing or a primal movement class are great avenues for the Aries in the first house. Now, off the mat, you can use this energy to initiate projects that others are afraid to start. And also in regards to your medicine, when the fire is too much because you aren't doing, you can find ways to use breath work, like breath of fire, to release the heat and the buildup in the body so it doesn't become dis-ease where your fire can act out in the shadow realm. Let's move on to the second house. This is the resource protector. So this is birthing your Garden of Eden, right? The second house is about self-worth. It is about survival. It is how you feed, clothe, and house yourself. And this is fighting for that, right? Aries fights for the independence of financial freedom and also for one's own autonomy, self-love, self-worth, and self-value, right? Maybe the boundaries are super strong there because Aries would initiate that. On the mat, focus on stamina, like grounded poses where you hold them for long periods of time. So you can really tap into the element of earth so you're not burning out, right? Your medicine is the slow burn. Slow down. Aries can be really fast. Prove to yourself that your body is a reliable asset through grounding in earth. Holding a stance, like horse stance is great. That's a fiery pose, holding a horse stance in a squatted position. You can always explore one of my videos to practice your horse stance. Now, off the mat for the second house, Aries here fiercely defends your time. Fiercely defend your time and energy as non-renewable resources. That's about setting boundaries there. In the third house, this is the warrior of words. Whew. My love has Aries moon in the third house, and man, do not mess. Talk about, you piss off an Aries in the third, and they're gonna have some words for you. Woo! Fiery words, right? So the vibe is the warrior of the mind and speech. This is also birthing new ideas and inventive ways to communicate. The third house is the neighborhood. It's maybe you're the warrior of the neighborhood. You protect the neighborhood. It's local travel. Maybe you're a warrior of experiencing new things locally. But it's about communicating and just, going hither and thither and just being a warrior for that. Communicating, connecting, and so on. Ideas, writing, speaking, thinking, and birthing those things. Now, on the mat, you focus on your coordination. You can also focus on balancing the mind, because this can be a very active mind here, through restorative positions, meditation, and grounding through breath work like box breath. So the box breath is practiced by Navy SEALs when they go into intense environments. And it's a 4-part breath. And you can think of going around a box where you inhale 4, pause 4, exhale 4, pause 4, and you just go around the box. And that's how Navy SEALs calm their mind. Because when you have Aries, that's fire. In the third house, that's an air house. That can be wild energy that just really gets in there, right? And so that's how to soothe an active mind. Moving into the fourth house, Aries here, this is the ancestral guardian, the protector of the family, the legacy, right? This is fighting on the home front, healing the lineage of trauma. Maybe you're the lineage breaker in the family. That can also be there. Now on the mat, we're focusing on grounding. And fourth house, that's the deep, that's the deep part of the chart. Like if you're looking at an iceberg, that's the lowest point. And not everybody gets to see that part of you, right? Except people may be close to you. And so that aspect can dive deep into lineage that's passed down, good or bad. If, let's say, you have a lineage of pain in your family and you're there to cut that, right? You can do things like on the mat, trauma-informed shaking. I have a whole video the opening sequence for primal movement, tapping into the body and shaking out what doesn't serve you, right? Getting it out of the body, like animals do in the wild when they escape a predator, they're shaking, right? Or your dog, after listening to the fireworks, is shaking, right? They're getting that out of their body. That shaking is the release of fear, right? It's a great way to get fire out of the body. Off the mat, you can protect your peace and your tribe with fierce boundaries, right? And you can ponder that as you will. Fifth house, the creative warrior, the rebel, right? The warrior of joy and self-expression. I think of people like David Bowie and people that have gone on stage to do powerful, powerful things that have never been done before. This is where you can be really fearless, right? You're not afraid of people throwing tomatoes at you. It's like, well, this is what you get, right? That fearlessness is powerful. Many people have fear of public speaking and having that microphone with something to say. This is complete fearlessness and the warrior to express oneself, right? You can think of, maybe an artist, whether that's a writer or an actor or a musician, someone that's just like, wow, they're so fearless, right? And learning how to embody that inspires others because you're using a medium that others tap into to feel things they might not feel in themselves, right? When you go to a movie and you're watching someone like, well, I would never do that, but you get to tap into how that makes you feel, right? And that's also really powerful there. On the mat, you can focus on play. Sometimes our practice can get very serious, focusing on play. Like in primal movement, we do gorilla leaps, right? Leaping up in as high as you can in the air and coming down in a full squat, or finding play in sounding, right? Oming, and finding those types of situations in your expression. So breaking the seriousness of traditional yoga. Off the mat, you can take creative risks without worrying if the world is watching. In the sixth house, the daily disciplinarian, the vibe would be fighting for health and service, being a warrior to assist others. Maybe that's in the volunteer sector or in the health sector, but also being disciplined in your own health, showing up to your doctor's visits and so on, practicing on your mat and so on. On the mat, the medicine is consistency. Your warrior thrives on the daily habit of movement. Off the mat, you can attack your to-do list with the precision of a martial artist. Let's get into the seventh house, the relational mirror. So the vibe is fighting for justice and partnerships, right? This is balancing partnership. And the seventh house opposes Aries in the natal chart, right? So it's a great balance for the warrior, putting yourself in other people's shoes. Remember, the mantra is I am, and the seventh house is we, going from me to we. Very important. So you're learning how to balance energy and fighting for healthy relationship. On the mat, I lead blindfolded yoga classes. Maybe your medicine is self-reliance, where you learn to be self-reliant first before the partner, right? That's one way to tap into not looking to others to see if you're doing it right, which I see a lot in yoga classes, or comparing oneself to another person, comparing your body, etc. Or, oh, they're doing that in the pose, I should be able to do that, when the bone structure in your body might be completely different than theirs, right? If you're, let's say, in downward dog and you're a corgi, you got a long body and tiny legs, your down dog isn't going to look like a Weimaraner, this long-legged thing, right? You're going to look different. This is an example. If you go into blindfold and feel into your own body, self-reliant first to balance in partnership later. Be the advocate in your relationships off the mat. Don't shy away from healthy conflict, right? Learning how to be the warrior of containing that relationship, even if you have to have difficult conversations. The eighth house, Aries here. Whoo, this is the alchemist, the warrior of the eighth house. The eighth house is taboo. It's deep intimacy. It is sex. It is merging. It's the house of power. It gives me chills. It's my favorite house. The vibe here is the warrior of the underworld and learning how to transform oneself. This is therapy. Maybe you're a therapist, and the warrior is to dismantle shadow qualities within others or within the self. That's a perfect example. On the mat, you can focus on intensity. Your medicine is the shadow work, as I just said, moving through the darkness of a blindfold, if you wanted to do a blindfold class, to find your power, learning to tap into other parts of your senses and not relying so much on one aspect of yourself. When you take sight away, you tap into other parts of yourself that are quite powerful. And it's transformational, right? Off the mat, you can use your drive to navigate deep psychological shifts and the shedding of the old self. In the 9th house, Aries here is the warrior of truth and higher learning. The vibe is the warrior of philosophy and expansion. This is like the shaman on the hilltop, right? So this is the warrior for higher knowledge and learning. On the mat, you can focus on your range, opening up your warrior stances, widening your gaze and finding your peripheral vision, even if you're looking at your drishti forward, right? This is expansive and really claiming your space. Off the mat, you're fighting for your right to keep learning and exploring new belief systems and not being pigeonholed into one belief, but widening your vision just like you do on the mat. Aries in the 10th house is the public hero, fighting for legacy and career, leaving a legacy behind that serves the whole, right? On the mat, the focus is on your posture, your spine, which is your power. Your medicine is warrior 2 or the primal squat, the transition from the downward dog to stepping your foot forward, standing tall in authority, and so on your practice, really working on your spinal alignment. Off the mat, lead your field, whatever your career is, with a pioneer spirit. Don't wait for permission to climb the mountain. In the 11th house, Aries here is the revolutionary. Woo! Fighting for the collective and the future. You might be seeing that right now. As I'm filming this video, Neptune and Saturn are about to come together, and they haven't been together in Aries in quite some time. And they're going to be at that Genesis point of 0 degrees of Aries, and this right here is exactly what I'm talking about. It is fighting for the oneness, not the few, the oneness of all, because we are all connected. We are all human, right? On the mat, this matches the Aquarius eclipse coming up. Your medicine is moving for the many, right? So when you're in a yoga class, you can feel the energy of everybody in the room. It's connecting to that. So you're not just on the mat, but you're feeling how you contribute and how they contribute to you and your practice, moving as one, breathing as one. I think that's pretty powerful. Off the mat, you can use your Aries fire to fuel social change, or maybe organize in a community or protest. In the 12th house, the final house, we have the spiritual warrior. Now, this is where my Mars is. And Aries rules my 12th house. So I have both Mars and Aries in the 12th. The spiritual warrior. The vibe is fighting the internal demons and the unseen. This is the house of yoga. It is the house of things behind closed doors. On the mat, the blindfold is perfect here, but this is also, you can use this medicine in a deep meditation practice, right? This is learning how to surrender into your poses, not holding on or muscling through. It's about opening, grounding, yes, but opening and softening and surrendering into the tension that you might feel if you're holding a pose. This is letting go of control. Off the mat, you use your drive for meditation, dream work, and ending subconscious cycles. Journaling is perfect here. So we have concluded around the natal chart. I hope this series serves you well. My intention is to empower you to connect to your inner warrior in a time where we need that. May it be so. All right, guys, in the next video, we will be exploring Mars in your chart. Om Shanti, everyone. Thank you.